guys, Ross Athiad here in Singapore, and I'm back on it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining into the Night Out podcast. Just uploaded a ton of podcast episodes, and no, I haven't adjusted them yet. I haven't published them. I haven't put them on Spotify, but they're on my computer now. So they're off my phone. They're on my computer. I'm getting there, y'all. Okay, little by little. I gotta say this though. I am re-energized. I feel really good about the things that I'm doing at the moment because I kind of feel like, I've renewed my purpose. I have my goals very clearly before me, and I'm not pinned in to any specific way on how to get there. I've left myself plenty of room for grace, as in if change happens, I can adjust. I can go with the flow. If I need to change course or change the subject or focus in a different direction, I have the time to do that. Now, the only thing I'm a little pissed off at myself about is the fact that in the process of all this change and this growth, I kind of let my Instagram slip. But it's not to say that I'm not, what is that word? Increasing my numbers, and people are still following me and stuff, but I'm a little more consistent on Twitter now. My podcasts are coming along. I have the group going on. So it's like I've increased the workload, but I haven't found an efficiency yet. I'll get there. But the point being that I feel good about what I'm doing. I feel excited about being relevant and staying in people's minds, giving you enough to chew on a daily basis if you really wanted to do a podcast episode of mine a day, right? So I'm feeling pretty good about that. The other thing I wanted to kind of to talk to you about is the fact that I've built in grace. I've built in space for grace through all of this. So I know that at heart, I'm a dreamer. I love building stuff. I love working with my hands. I love having new ideas. I like recreating other people's work in my own image or in my own way, right? Sometimes I need the inspiration from somebody else, but then I'll kind of put my own spin on it and make it mine. And I've always done that. But I also know as a dreamer, you tend to get sidetracked pretty quickly. It's like that shiny penny syndrome or, squirrel for the dog from Up. So I tend to get distracted, and I know that about myself. But even then, I've made sure that I've given myself enough space to get distracted and it not be a detriment to my business. Because let's face it, I need to know my own nature in order for me to build a business around who I am. I did go ahead and brand myself just when people were starting to think about that idea. So I did that way back in the beginning, and I knew that was the direction I was going to go. I knew I didn't want to niche down. I wanted to niche up. I wanted to brand the fact that you're getting my opinion the way I see the world. Because for the most part, I have a lot of people say, well, gosh, you seem really grounded. You seem very open-minded. You're very spiritual. I like who you are. I like the vibe I get. Where'd you get it from? So why not share with you all of my inspirations, all of my little aha moments, and give you a piece of my viewpoint, basically, put you behind my eye real quick so you can see what I see, and then maybe you can assimilate, I don't know, accommodate, adjust, adapt, I don't know what the word is, but maybe you can take something that you like that I'm doing and integrate it into your life. And that's basically what we've all done, right? If I go way back to the beginning when I first started moving, I'm so sorry about that. There's construction going on in the background. It's really, really annoying. Hang on one second. I should know better, right? This is what I get for wanting fresh air in the time of Corona. Anyway, I just had to shut the windows real quick so I could get better quality sound. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I made sure that I gave myself plenty of room to be able to talk about all the things that actually brought me to where I am at the moment. We were talking about the fact that back in the day when I first started moving schools, and let me make sure make sure I explain this to you correctly. I've been to 5 different countries. Okay, all of that before I hit the age of 14. Now, in those 5 countries, before the age of 14, I've been to 10 different schools. Well, no, 9 different schools, 10 different times, because I went back to one school twice, which means I didn't stay at any one school for more than 6 months at a time. What does that mean? Oh my gosh, I was the new girl every damn time, and I learned very quickly that the longer I kept my mouth shut, the longer they thought I was cool. But in the meantime, I also learned to observe, which means I took what I thought was cool from the previous school about the popular kids, and I tried to assimilate some of those characteristics into who I was. So I was constantly reinventing myself, and that was the only fun part about going to new schools a lot in different countries, in different districts with different, LOTE programs. I was in Australia for a long time, and that was called LOTE. It was the Languages Other Than English program. That being said, I had to go through 7 different languages that they attempted to teach me. I didn't pick up all of them. Spanish was easy. French sucked. I hated French. I did French first. And as a result, Spanish was really easy. And then, what was the other hard one? Oh my gosh, Mandarin. Mandarin was really hard for me. Japanese was not so bad, but Mandarin was really hard. So anyway, all of that aside, the point is I started picking and choosing the things that I liked about other people the way they carried themselves, the way they dressed, the way they spoke, some of their gestures, some of their mannerisms, stuff like that I looked up to, I emulated, and I tried to integrate that into who I was. Eventually, of course, I dropped most of those things and I just became myself, because every time you assimilate a characteristic from somebody else, you're still not really being yourself, but it's an aspect of you that you're finally allowing yourself to explore. So part of that is necessary, and eventually you'll find your own stride, right? You'll find your own beat, your own stride, whatever you want to call it. But that's part of the reason that I really love the fact that I'm a dreamer. Yes, we were drilled into being good little robots, good little soldiers, the way that we were taught in grade school to follow the rules. This is what's expected. Good grades, high GPA, marketability, as many subjects or what was that word called? It's an alternative class. Extracurriculars, all that stuff, so you're a well-rounded student, and then the next goal is to get into college. Once you get into college, it becomes, okay, how do you become marketable for the the workplace, and then also how do you get the most amount of money? Like, honestly, back then when they were giving us career counseling and stuff, they were focused on how do you get the biggest paycheck? What area of study should you be in order to get the biggest paycheck? And I kind of resent that, but I had no choice in it, right? I couldn't change the system, but I did what they told me. I followed the rules. I did everything that was expected of me. And I found that while I could get some money, it wasn't a lot of money. And while I was getting money, I wasn't happy. I was miserable. So with my own business, I tried really hard to stay away from what everyone else was telling me, that you had to niche down, you had to pick one specific topic so that you become the expert in that field or whatever. Instead, I wanted to be marketable. I wanted to show you that I can apply what I know and how I am and the things that I'm trying to teach other people to any aspect of life. I went broad. I went wide really fast. And it's part of the reason I started doing interviews. I wanted to show people that I had the charisma enough to carry off an interview, first of all, but then also that I could lend value to the conversation while they're talking about their journey as well. And it's not necessarily to take over the conversation, but more like for you to see that there isn't anyone in the world that I can't speak to. There isn't anything that people have been through that I can't, on some level, identify with or resonate with in order to be able to give value as well, or to show them that I really do see and understand what they're explaining, right? Because that lends to the audience's reaction as well. If I can amplify what you're telling me and shed some light on why you found that to be important and why I would think that was important in my life as well, then it becomes a really great conversation. First of all, you feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and the audience also understands that, maybe that is important, because that's two points of view that are sharing the same idea, and they're both stressing the fact that this is quite important. It's a big lesson that we need to learn on this journey of life. So I made sure that I followed my own gut. As a dreamer, I built in a lot of space for me to make some mistakes, and it's part of the reason that I didn't start advertising what I was doing way back in the beginning, because I was scared. I went through imposter syndrome. I went through several years of, oh my gosh, am I really making sense? Does the podcast make sense at all? And now I could go back, but I'm not gonna. I was very fascinated with characters like Superwoman. Now you all know her as Lily, right? Lily Singh. But back when she was Superwoman, the fact that she had so much content and she was really comfortable just being silly and goofy in herself, I thought it was really important. And I love the fact that she uses comedy to pivot into some of the bigger social issues that really need talking about, because she's used the humor. And it's something that comics have done forever. I know that. But it's nice to see that she made the pivot into something serious, because she's already made it okay to talk about those things because she made it funny. But the other thing I noticed was Gary Vee and Lily Singh. Those are the two people that I fashioned the podcast after, or at least I had them in mind when I created my podcast. Was they all started at the bottom. They talked about, the first couple of episodes being kind of crap or whatever. And Gary Vee, his story. He's talked about how he had the Wine Library TV show on YouTube for a couple of years before anyone started getting traction on it, before he became a overnight sensation. But that was 2 years worth of work. And what I was worried about was, I know that I'm going to start off and it's going to be bad, but eventually I will get to a point where I feel comfortable speaking and I don't have a problem with the things I'm talking about, and I feel good about the cadence, the tone, the speed, the intonation, all of that. And I would get over my my aggravation towards my voice. I didn't really like my voice, and it was because of a few people in my life that have told me that it's just too husky, too low. It's not very feminine at all. Not that I care, but it did affect me, and it's something that I've been getting over with this podcast. But back to the point at hand, I was looking through Lily Singh's YouTube journey, and I was looking for the very first few videos that she ever put up. And I know once people become celebrities and stuff, they don't want that goofy stuff that looks really, really crazy on the site anymore. They remove some of those very, very early cuts of themselves where they don't look very flattering or put together, and it was maybe a little bit of a hodgepodge because they were just starting out. And I'm not there to judge her, but I wanted to kind of use that as inspiration to show people that, hey, you know what? I wasn't always like this, but I evolved into this. I really wanted people to grow with me as a brand. I wanted them to see how I eventually start, polishing up a little bit, not to cater to the crowds and be like, all internet sensation or whatever, but more like you see me up my skills. You see me take pride in my work. And as the fads change, as the technology changes, I kind of try to keep up as well. And that's the part I wanted everyone to see. So if you look back on my YouTube channel, and I've debated whether or not to go to a branded channel or not. But if you look back on my YouTube channel, you can see all of the videos on there. There's over 1,000 videos on there, easy by now, because there's 800 podcast episodes, right? So over 1,000 videos on my channel, but I have less than 100 subscribers at the moment, which is fine. I'm not going for the subscribers right now. I'm going for the content. Eventually, I know that I'm going to have to change the captions. I'm going to have to change the thumbnails. I'm going to have to advertise it a little bit, which I will. I need to clean it up, basically, right? I have all the artwork. I need to put it and curate it into a portfolio so people will look at it and be like, oh, okay, well, let me go through and browse a little bit. So that's where my head is at the moment. But like I said, if you go back through, you can find the ones that were never edited. You can find the ones that are really raw cut from the internet, from IGTV, back when IG Live used to hang in your, in your stories for 24 hours or whatever before they disappeared. Like I've got all of those, even my live videos from Facebook. Like I have all of those videos, and I'm happy to have those videos because I need you to see the change in me. I want you to see the change in me. I want you to see that I'm taking the initiative. If you scroll back through my Instagram feed, for instance, all the way back to the beginning, you'll see the first few posts, and you'll see that a lot of it was hodgepodge. There was nothing curated. I meddled a little bit in creating posts with different fonts on it, and that was back when it was InstaQuote, I think was the app that I used way back then, but now I use WordSwag and I use Canva, and it's changed a little bit, but I have like a theme now. I have something I want to say. I have a way of curating, and now it's time again for this evolution for me to change the way I do things and see if I can't grab a little bit more attention, a little bit more intentionally, because I'm looking at the things that I like to share and I'm trying to create accordingly as well. So it's evolving, and I want you to see that it's evolving. I want to make mistakes and show you how I corrected or course corrected. I want to show you how I tried this and it wasn't that great. It didn't look so hot on the feed or whatever, and I didn't get that much of feedback anyway. So I adjusted. I keep adjusting. It's something I picked up from Brendan Kane. I'm totally in awe of how his mind works. I really love people who think in terms of strategy, because I don't know if I'm there yet as far as strategy is concerned, but my intuition is getting better, and I'm noticing things that are aesthetically pleasing to me. Like back in the day when I first started out, 3-4 years ago, when I first started up with Crown for Success, I realized that everyone had that peachy pink color behind all of their quotes. Like everybody. If you scroll through the Explore function on Instagram back then, that's all you saw. Black lettering, a peachy pink rose gold kind of color that everybody was using. And I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to stand out. So way back then, 4 years ago, I decided, you know what? I want bold colors. I want lots of color. I don't want to be stuck with one particular color. So I chose like bright, vibrant colors, and I had white lettering instead so it would stand out. And at first it was all of that. If you look through my feed in the middle somewhere, it's just those bright colors. And then eventually they were like, you need to break it up. It's too much. It's very overwhelming. I had a couple of like Instagram page audits or whatever, and I decided to adjust. And it was a big stress for me because suddenly I had to think about, okay, how do I curate this? But it was from those experiences and then managing other social media accounts that I learned that, we can take the risks and it's okay. I did a social media account for Scholars Inc., which is a tuition company. And then of course, Kindle Kids, when I launched them, I had HubSpot behind me and I was able to write and curate the social media feeds, and it was really great. Like I got to play with themes and colors and patterns and stuff, and it was really, really great. So all of that to say that eventually I had to branch out. I had to try something new, and I like that I have never really painted myself into a corner where I feel caged and I can't break out. There was a moment there late last year where I felt like, I was a business and I couldn't be risque with my pictures of me or anything, and I didn't want to upset people. But it was a part of me that I wanted to express as well, especially now that I have a management company that takes care of, talent work, kind of like modeling, commercials, TV shows, stuff like that. And I wanted to add that in there. And it took someone hijacking my phone basically to kind of show me that, hey, it's not such a bad thing. I could still be a little bit of a local celebrity while I still talk business all day long. So I'm working on it. I am evolving slowly but surely, and I'm glad that I haven't changed anything. I have tried really hard to make sure that you get to see every part of this journey, and I gotta say, like, being a dreamer has been the best thing for me. I am a dreamer, and I know I'm not the only one, and I'm here to tell you, look, people are going to tell you exactly what you supposedly need to do in order to build your business, and I'm here to tell you that you won't know what you need until you start trying stuff. You won't know what fits you. You won't know if it works for you or not. For me, I'm a grassroots kind of person. That's just the person that I am. I don't want to do product placements, and I don't want to do shout outs for big companies because they paid me by giving me the item for free or whatever. And I know a lot of local businesses do that because they want the shout out. I get that, but I don't want to promote things unless I really absolutely love the product. I don't mind shouting you out. I don't mind, lending some of my light to your product or your service just, because you're starting out and I want you to get that opportunity as well. But I want to make absolutely sure that people know what I stand for and the quality products that I stand behind, the things that I use on a daily basis. And if I don't use any one specific thing, then I'm going to let people know that there are options out there at least. So I'm actually really glad that I chose to follow my gut, that I allowed space for grace and for you to be able to grow with me as a brand, because then you feel like you had an input, you had a say, you were able to help me along my journey as well, because that's honestly true. If I had gone back and looked at, what posts people were interacting with back then, I probably wouldn't be curating the kind of information I am now. Let's think about this. I know so many influencers who are Jeff Natamos, who are celebrities in the UK and in Canada. And if you ask the boys how they became internet famous or why, what was a driving response, honestly, it was to get girls. I'm not going to name any names, but y'all know who you are. And if it was to get girls, well, obviously you have like a couple thousand, followers behind you, but what are you saying now? It became a chore for you to be able to get that kind of content out there for people to, comment on and interact with. And it's something they expect of you now because you built it that way. But I feel like I was true to myself the whole way through. And so I don't feel like it's a stretch when I have to get up and do a video or, write content or create like a microblog or curate like a bunch of slides that you can share everywhere, because it's always been a part of me. So I don't feel like I'm painted into a corner. And that's probably been the hardest piece of intuition that I've had to follow, because everybody else is growing around me. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I go back and see the people that I graduated from Crown for Success with, they've got tens of thousands of followers. But you know what? I don't see a lot of interaction on their page. I don't see a lot of likes on their posts, and I feel badly because they have the follower numbers. But for me, I have my community. I have maybe just over 3,000 followers, and I'm good with that. It's cool. Like if I get more, great, and if I don't, that's all right too. But right now, I know pretty much everyone who writes on my posts, and I know most of the people who are in my DMs, and I have my favorite accounts that I follow. I curate, my feed to the best of my ability, and I think it's just been great. So yeah, I am proud of my journey, and I'm glad I built in space. And you know what? I wish you all the same. I hope you find your way and stick to your way no matter what other people tell you. All right, I'll catch you soon.